you need to consider that whether you do look like those things that you're seeing or not, there are people who actually do look like those things. So they're gonna see this video and it's gonna be harmful for them. Well, you're having a very personal reaction to a general statement.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia, and today we are doing a William Hornby video. So get your blink counters ready, because I don't know if that man ever shuts his eyes. In this particular TikTok, William describes to us that if we stop viewing fatness as immoral, then it will cease to have power to hurt us. So how exactly does that work? If you tell your fatness that it's not immoral, does that stop it from causing heart disease? Does that stop it from causing diabetes? How exactly does labeling your fatness as moral prevent it from hurting you? I'm not exactly sure, so let's watch the TikTok in its entirety.
People always tell me that I have body dysmorphia, and I'm like, I hope I have body dysmorphia. If I'm seeing what y'all are seeing, we have a problem. Ooh, so I know you're joking around, but you need to consider that whether you do look like those things that you're seeing or not, there are people who actually do look like those things. So they're gonna see this video and it's gonna be harmful for them. Okay, but like, I hate what I see. And look, I understand how that feels, genuinely, like actually famously. And let me let you in on a little secret. And what is that? If you stop seeing the things you think you're seeing as universally bad, they're not going to be as much of a problem for you when you see them in the mirror. What do you mean? Well, if you freak out when you see a fat body in the mirror, why? Because I shouldn't be fat. And that's a morally loaded thing to say. In that scenario, you clearly see being fat as a morally bad thing. And so what if I do? Well, if you stop seeing being fat as a moral wrong, then when you see a fat body in the mirror, you take away your body dysmorphia's ability to make you feel bad about seeing a fat body in the mirror, whether you are in a fat body or not. Ultimately, unlearning your anti-fatness will improve your life. It will improve your experience of body dysmorphia. And, honestly, it'll improve the lives of everyone else around you, especially the fat people in your life. It is worth your time and energy.
Oh, William, there is so much wrong with this TikTok. But let's start at the beginning with the claim that
whether you do look like those things that you're seeing or not, there are people who actually do look like those things.
And for every single defect that you do not like about yourself, odds are there is someone out there that has it worse than you. But just because someone has it worse than you doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have your own concerns. If your doctor recommends that they take a biopsy to test for cancer, are you not allowed to be worried? Are you not allowed to express your concern to other people? Or is that offensive because there are people out there that actually do have cancer? If you get some pimples before a big event and you're all stressed out because you have a breakout on your face, are you allowed to express that? Or is that offensive to people that have severe acne? If you fail an exam in university and you're afraid of getting kicked out, are you allowed to express your discontentment? Or is it insensitive to all of those people that didn't get into university in the first place? Where does it end? The more that we stifle people's ability to express themselves, the more repressed feelings we're going to have. And the more repressed feelings we're going to have, the more mental health issues we'll have in the future. So, is it really worth the mental health of the mass population to protect a particular subset of that population that refuses to manage their own feelings? That doesn't seem very fair to me. Which leads me to my next point. When William says
they're gonna see this video and it's gonna be harmful for them.
And my question is, why? Now, I'm not ignorant. I know that statements like this could bruise a couple egos. But to actually hurt someone, the person responsible for those hurt feelings is the person who's feeling them. Because these statements aren't delivered with any sort of malice or directed at a person, but they are choosing to take them personally. And this, my friends, is known as the cognitive distortion of personalization. I have made no secret that I go to therapy, and I've been going to therapy for a number of years. So what really perplexes me is how this particular group of people preaches therapy, but they don't seem to abide by any of the things that my therapists have taught me over the years. And one of the biggest things that therapy has focused on with me is cognitive distortions and taking accountability for my own feelings. I will give you an example of when I recently did personalization and verbatim what my therapist told me to do about it. So I was at work and we were having a conversation about raising children. And I had already said that I have 2 children and I gave them cell phones pretty early. I think that they were about 8 years old when they got cell phones. And one of my colleagues said something like, well, giving children cell phones is lazy parenting. Now, I took offense to this because I had already made a statement earlier that I had given my children cell phones, and he had made the statement that it's lazy parenting to give your children cell phones. So I was pissed. I took this as a personal attack. But you know what? When I talked to my therapist, she told me that I was personalizing it and the onus was on me to handle my feelings. Because she said to me, "Did he say, Lydia, you are a lazy parent?" And I said, "No." And I said, "But I said I give my kids cell phones." And then he said, "It's lazy parenting to do that." My therapist still steered me back to, "It's up to me." I don't need to go and confront this colleague. I don't need to justify that I am not a lazy parent. Because number one, he did not direct the comment at me. And number two, does his opinion of me really matter? So my therapist worked with me to not personalize the situation. The goal was to make me feel better about me and not concern myself with the viewpoints of other people. That's what therapy does. Therapy does not teach you to go out into the world up in arms and demand that they all treat you with kid gloves. This does not solve anything. And the funny and hypocritical thing about William is that he knows this. He completely knows this. But he only applies the rules of personalization to thins.
A lot of men have undiagnosed eating problems. Oh, hope harder, soy boy. Just because you had problems with eating doesn't mean that you can armchair diagnose me with eating problems. I eat healthy. I go to the gym. And just because you couldn't lose weight the right way doesn't mean that I have a problem. Wow, okay, that's a lot. Did I, call you out by name? What do you mean? Well, you're having a very personal reaction to a general statement that a lot of men have undiagnosed eating problems. I didn't say anything about you personally or the way that you eat or the way that you exercise. You brought that up. Is this you trying to trick me into admitting that I have a problem because it won't work? No, this isn't some kind of gotcha moment. This is me genuinely concerned for you. If the mere mention of undiagnosed eating problems in men makes you go on defense about your eating and your exercise habits, it sounds like you might need to reach out for help.
So, from William's perspective, a thin person personalizing information is being defensive because it's true. But a fat person personalizing a general comment is completely normal, and all of us should do our best to make sure that our comments cannot be personalized to hurt other people's feelings. So much for equality. Next, we move on to William's statement that
because I shouldn't be fat.
And I think this is funny because it's a role play, and I don't think that people actually say the words, "I shouldn't be fat." I think that people either say, "It's not healthy for me to be fat," or "I don't want to be fat." But I don't think many people say, I shouldn't be fat. Because him using that word should lets him imply morality. And I don't think that anyone that's criticizing their body weight is doing it from a moral stance at all. They're either doing it for medical reasons, meaning their doctor recommended it, or they're just having a hard time being mobile and they want to alleviate some pressure from their joints, or they just simply don't like gaining weight. Like for me, when I gain weight, my clothes don't fit, and I don't really feel like going out and buying new clothes. So what's easier, drop 5 pounds or spend a whole lot of money on a new wardrobe? Well, I'm gonna drop the 5 pounds. But that's a personal reason. It's not a moral reason, it's a personal reason. But if you want moral reasons to not being obese, there are plenty. If you are obese, you are consuming more. There is more waste. You have a bigger carbon footprint. You are consuming more medical resources. You are consuming more transportation resources. You are requiring more accommodations. There is an impact on the rest of society if you are obese. So it wasn't my intention to label obesity as a moral or immoral thing, but since William did go down this rabbit hole, if your moral compass is guided by negatively impacting others based on your own personal choices, you can make a pretty darn good case that obesity is immoral. And in a larger way, I find it immoral to ignore obesity, to ignore fatness altogether. Then we get to, I guess, what is the point of this video?
Stop seeing being fat as a moral wrong. Then when you see a fat body in the mirror, you take away your body dysmorphia's ability to make you feel bad about seeing a fat body in the mirror, whether you are in a fat body or not.
But how does that work? That's just ignoring the problem. Imagine going to see your doctor with a bullet wound, and instead of treating the wound, the doctor gave you a blindfold and said, well, if you don't have to look at it, it's not going to hurt you anymore. Because that's essentially what this is doing. And William telling people to ignore their fatness is going to cause medical problems for them in the future. How moral is it to tell someone, nah, you're fine. Just ignore the consequences. You're fine. Can I do this to everything in life? If I stop seeing the overconsumption of alcohol as a moral failing, does that mean I can get drunk every day? If I stop seeing missing work as a moral failing, can I skip work all next week? And what if I see being skinny is not a moral failing? Does that mean that I am freely entitled to stop eating? How does seeing something as not a moral failing prevent it from hurting you when the behavior you're doing is hurting you? All this is wearing a blindfold. If you saw someone blindfolded that was walking towards the edge of a cliff, would you tell them to take off the blindfold? Or would you let them stay blissfully ignorant? Because that is exactly what this type of advice is doing. Well, that's it for today. Did any of you catch how many times William blinked? Because I don't think I caught a single one. And for my audience, I sincerely hope that you do not spend the time unlearning your anti-fatness and instead explore the internet about all the effects that obesity can have on you from scientific resources.
It is worth your time and energy.
Because although I want my audience to be confident and happy with themselves, I also want you to be honest. So, until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.